Hi there, I am the Utopian Trainer. Welcome to this new channel of mine. This video is about getting you to subscribe to it. To do that, click here to subscribe and there on the bell to receive future notifications. Why utopia in these days? We're looking at what's happening on the planet now. It's more of a dystopia happening. We are seeing Australia burning. We are seeing maybe the kicking off of World War III. So why a focus on utopia? Well, in his book von Roman zur Denkfigur, Utopie, Neupert Doppler says that utopia is a negation of the existing. It is an intention towards something better. It's about making possibilities concrete. It's about a motivation towards activities, an articulation of needs, and an option towards orientation. Utopian consciousness, he goes on to say, doesn't just go alongside critical consciousness and political consciousness, but actually it forms a constellation with them. So, broadly, this channel is about developing yours and mine utopian consciousness, which is a needed competence that we can have to deal with the challenges that life is currently bringing us, to deal with this collectively. So, who is this for? Well, the kind of people who should be subscribing to this channel are people who are trainers like me, Utopian Trainer, pedagogues, seminar leaders, youth leaders, people working in youth clubs, people working in church groups, people who are like mediators, facilitators, whatever, teachers, whatever you call yourself, and you're beginning to think, how can we get our clients to deal with, to brainstorm, to think of what kind of future world do they want to live in. We're seeing like young people doing this now with Greta Thunberg. Young people are thinking we need to have an alternative to this life that we're currently having, So, you may be a political activist, member of a party, and thinking not just in terms of, okay, some local plans, but thinking how can we actually transform the societies that we live in and also do this internationally. In your canvassing work, in your community work, during meetings with people in the local area. Or maybe you're an NGO worker dealing with some single issue and thinking, how can I incorporate this within other issues and not just be on the defensive, but create actually policies for our future and enable other people to do so as well. Or maybe you're just an individual who is just concerned with what's happening to this planet of ours and thinking, what can we do about this? In a way that combines many different issues altogether. So not just climate change, but also, for example, thinking about, say, jobs or gender roles or whatever. So why should you subscribe to this? You can actually do this while I'm talking. Wherever these buttons are, click on select to subscribe. Click on the bell for notifications. Well, Stephen Duncombe links the issue of utopia to what is currently happening with so-called populists. These are my inverted commas, not his. Whereby we're kind of dealing in like post-fact days. Well, we can't deal with like an actual economic analysis because people are just voting for things to harm them anyway and voting for parties who don't combat climate change. And why is this? He says because the narratives are winning over. Make America great again. Get Brexit done. 4 words, 3 words, these are winning elections. So in order to win this, we need to then deal with narratives, to deal with visions, to deal with possible futures that can include these voters in. John Monbiot says that like he's looking at the Bible or myths or stories, Lord of the Rings, you're seeing this is the story of redemption. The bad thing is happening. Degrading is happening, people come together, they come with a solution, and then they implement this change, and then things get better. Happened with the creation of the welfare state and the National Health Service, free public health. But then this came, anyway, to cut a long story short, 2008 crash came along, and the bad thing happened, but there was a lack of ideas what we can actually do with the future. What kind of concrete visions do we have? This channel is about thinking about how can we develop these concrete visions. the dominant kind of view is that there is no alternative. Tina, there is no alternative. And this, therefore, channel for you to subscribe to is about developing Tamara. Namely, there are many alternative real. There are many awesome real alternatives. There are many awesome real alternatives. It's an American word, awesome, in this context. That's why I slipped up with that. In the utopian world, maybe language would be different. Anyway, there are many awesome real alternatives, Tamara. As going against Tina, there is no alternatives. Therefore, this channel is about working on what can these awesome real alternatives be, and how can we, together with our friends, our families, our colleagues at work, our clients, how can we together develop ideas for better futures? Now, just to be clear, like with Stephen, what's his name again? Duncombe said, utopia is actually no place. Actually comes from the Greek word, Greek words for no place. It's not actually a concrete aim, but rather it is something to aim for. It is a horizon. We want to push society in a certain direction, therefore we aim for something. We aim for a certain horizon, and then by moving closer to it, the horizon changes, moves to something else. Utopia is about pushing the Overton window in a way which is more friendly towards people, where people's human rights are being respected, where the planet is being respected. Yeah, it's about dealing with, thinking, what kind of irrational ideas can people have? Or maybe, to say it better, what kind of ideas do people have that kind of, oh no, that won't work, we can't possibly doing that. I find there is some kind of resigned, kind of depressive mood among many people. This channel is about trying to break that. Very small way, a very humble way. I'm sure that you, viewer, have got some kind of ideas. And I'm not just talking about criticism of current ideas, but I'm sure if we were to talk individually, say in a pub somewhere or in some other way, we'd come up with some kind of good ideas. And I believe that all people have the ability to create some really cool ideas. And I think by talking about what kind of future do you want to live with, we can come up with some better things that are currently happening. Produce some societies which are based upon our values and not values based upon the people who are most powerful in the world. So how did I come to this theme? Well, I deal with voluntary service, been doing so now since 2008, and I deal largely with the issue of disability and of homelessness. And I am training young German people to go and live in the UK and work with homeless people and people with disabilities. And in doing so, during this time, there was a big rise in hate crimes in the UK against people with disabilities, and this then linked with classes and kind of belief that they were lazy, not really disabled, not really wanting to work. And I came then to the view that we can't just be dealing with people on an individual level and trying to work on, against discrimination, prejudice that people have at an individual level, but rather that the fact is that this rise in hate crimes in the UK against people with disabilities and also against homeless people went right along with a very strong neoliberalism, with austerity, with this kind of punitive state. Yeah, so we can't just get people to be nice, rather we need to think of, we need to change the state, we need to change political structures. And therefore began to think it's actually very depressing what's actually happening with hate crimes against people with disabilities and the fact that they're on the increase. And I begin to think we need to think of positive futures. And this is what I then developed. And I've been doing this for about 2 or 3 years now. And I find people are very interested in the idea of utopia. They're really interested. And I think that your clients and the other people you know will also be interested in this. So therefore, click on subscribe. You would make my day if you would subscribe to this right now. You could easily do this little small thing to make my life better. So click on this for subscribe and also on the bell to receive future notifications. In the future, I'm going to be doing book reviews. I'm going to be talking about the issue of gender, the issue of work, the issue of evaluating universal basic income, self-care from a utopian perspective, reviews of books. science fiction, education, training, what's the future like? So all kinds of early interest things are going to be coming up. So remember, click on subscribe and also on the notification bell. I wish you a nice day.